Okay. Hi, everybody. Steve Cady here, and we are with our ORGD 6015 in the spring of 2020. It's March 19th, and we just finished the last residency held at Bowling Green State University live. I think we were the last to leave the ship on Sunday. Um, and We've had a few days to kind of let everything sink in from the weekend, and then we got a chance to check in today. So the purpose today is to help you have what you need to continue making progress individually, in your groups, and as a whole class. And what we'll do is we'll do a check-in, and I'll pick one person to begin. If you could check in and then pick the next person to go when you're done, and then we'll go until we're all checked in. And the question I have is, what are some of your reflections on the experience from your learning to date, the residency, and just some reflections on the learning you've had in our class. And then the second thing is what's a question you have that will help you and your group or the class as a whole continue to make progress? What's a question that you have that will help you make progress or your group make progress? And then we'll take it from there, and I'll answer questions as we go. I'll start with Katie. I'm looking on my screen upper left. You're up there, so let's start with you, and then we'll go to Maura, and then we'll go to Debbie and Chelsea. No, wait a second. You go ahead and pick. I just did that. You go ahead and pick who gets to go next. You get the honor of doing that. So go ahead, Katie. Why don't you check in?
Okay. To be completely honest, I haven't
Hey guys, we're still having trouble getting Vanessa and Caitlin in to the meeting. They keep getting linked to a different session. Any suggestions? I told them to log out and log back in.
So they might have to, they might want to go, are they doing it from the calendar? Are they doing it from the
Vanessa,
class
how
calendar?
are you trying to log in?
The link is on the calendar from March 5th.
So they might want
use one from March 5th.
So they might want to use. It might be that it's a different link. Let me give you in the chat room. It's if they go into the calendar, it should be there. But I can send out I'll think of what's the best.
They're going to try to update it for you too. I've got them on the other call, so I've got actually both calls going.
So there's the link there. If they just get that link, you can send that link to them. I'm not sure. It should be the same link every time. Their link should be that 6727 link. If it doesn't say 6727 at the end, then they're in the wrong spot.
Okay, let me ask them. Yeah, they have 6727 on the end of their link.
Then that's the right one.
Do we all need to get off and try to get back on maybe? No?
That won't make a difference. We can, I maybe, but I don't, that it shouldn't. Because it shows me that I'm in 718 in the upper left hand, it's 1936727. So we're all there. There's something, maybe they might need to go completely out, reopen up and go back in, or even copy that room number and just go into Zoom and say, go to this meeting. And
They try the app, like on their phone or their tablet. Try the Zoom app instead of their link online. And they just need their.
I'm going to try to I will resend that. I'm going to text it out to you guys.
Thank you.
And if worse comes to worse, they can dial in on that phone number. And put the meeting ID in.
I've told them just to try to call in on the phone number. Let me copy that phone number for him.
Debbie, where's the phone number?
I just put in the chat. The text. I just texted it to you.
So I'm not getting any.
All right. I think Caitlin's gonna wait for the recording to come out because she's still having trouble, and Michael's gonna try to call in.
Okay. So we might just see what much of it should be able to be pretty quick to dial in. So I'm not sure, it shouldn't take that long to dial in. I'm concerned about it's pretty straightforward. So I'm not sure if there's something technical going on at Zoom. Because I bet you they're being used at least 10 times more right now than they were last week. So, because this doesn't make any sense. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and start, and if they can get in, we'll just catch them up so we can keep things going, and I can make sure I'm mindful of your time. And so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and check in, and as they come in, we'll just catch them up with what we're talking about, and we got it recorded as well. So, Katie, you want to start?
Sure. I don't really think I've had any time to reflect. So I felt like the residency weekend was great, and that was that. And now I've gotten back home and I have had to do other things. So I've been, looking over the assignments and trying to read through information as I can, but largely my focus has just been on transitioning every other aspect of life this week. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Gotcha. Any questions you have?
no.
Okay.
Debbie.
If you had a genie, what would you ask the genie for? Or if you had one wish, a genie.
I already asked, I actually sent you an email asking for one wish. Just a little bit ago. And in all reality, I mean, do you want me to ask right now?
Did I answer it? I can't remember.
No. I just sent it a little bit ago. So you probably maybe haven't even gotten it yet.
You can ask that if you want. That's fine. If it's helpful or appropriate, yeah.
I mean, my thought was, is there any possible scenario in which we could modify any of the workload currently? I like listed a couple of suggestions, but I mean, really, I'm just feeling like my mental load is like at capacity. And I literally do not have enough hours in the day to like accommodate all the new things that I'm having to take care of. I don't know if anybody else is feeling that way. I don't want to seem like the weak one. I'm just really struggling right now.
You're not the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wrestle with that because of the learning outcomes of the class. So I think that I think I can look at that and see and give some thought to it. I'm not sure how I would, but I think we've got time. The next thing that's due is April something, I believe, right? And then the next thing due is in April. So that's a couple, I think that's a little over almost 2 weeks. So it might be that it'll feel a little bit different next week once you've had a chance, with your new job and all the other stuff that's going on for you personally. So I'll look at that. I've got to just kind of manage those kinds of things and look at that. But I'll look at that
Okay.
for sure.
Oh, Debbie, you can go next.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of mirror some of Katie's thoughts. Is I haven't really, after residency weekend, I've been working to try to restructure a lot in the personal life. With work coming down, we've got family members losing their jobs already this week. So there's other personal things going on. I haven't had a chance really to do a lot of reflecting and to jump into the assignments as much as I would have liked to. So I'm feeling behind on some stuff right now.
Okay, who would you like to go next?
Who's next? David. He's next in my view.
Okay, before I start, we're just kind of doing just reflections on the weekend. I want to ask
questions. Any question that you have that will help you.
questions about our group work. I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't want to spend too much time getting
personal
into
work, group
specifics.
work. Yeah, if you have
Okay.
any questions, that would be fine.
Yeah. So reflections from the weekend. I missed you guys. Obviously, I didn't get as much out of it as you that were there, but there were certain times where I felt like I was getting as much out of it as if I was there. So it wasn't all bad. Some good stuff came out of it. So really not a whole lot more to reflect on as far as that goes. As far as questions for the assignment that's due, we have to turn in our plan tonight. And I asked you yesterday, Dr. Katie, and you said it was just P1, and then we still weren't sure, I think me and Erica, about what that entailed specifically. So any more guidance on what is due tonight would be helpful. And then, yeah, I think that's probably a good place to start.
Okay, this the document that you were working on in class live. So
Understood that, but we kind of went into P2 in that document as well. So
you didn't. So we talked about P2, but that's a different document. That's a different deliverable. So anything you talked about when I did the board, I was helping you see the difference between P1 and P2. So you have P2 as your design for the actual experience, and that was getting you started on that. That's the deliverable for the actual event. That's P2. So your P1 is purely what you were doing in terms of PLAN for the project assignment. That's it. We did get
Okay.
started on P2. That's not due this Thursday. That's just getting you started on that.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Let's go with Moira.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm in the same boat as everyone else. No time to reflect on anything, trying to cancel, reschedule events, making sure everyone's okay. I have found, strangely enough, that I've used the PLAN sort of framework to give me some vague sense of control in each of these, trying to restructure things. So that's helpful. In terms of questions, not at a point where I really have anything to ask or contribute there. I think we're going to meet with the group tonight to deal with P2, and I think we're reasonably on track with that. And I would just say that I think it's best if everyone just jumps in when they have a minute, when they have time to, you know, contribute, and somebody else will pick up the slack when they have time. And I think we'll muddle through together. Let's see who's next. Erica.
Thanks, Moira. So as far as reflections go, it's a good weekend, but it's always a motivating weekend when I get to spend the time with all of you beautiful, intelligent people. There was a lot of some things I got from the reading or discussions, and some things were obviously new, but overall it was a great weekend. The only other question I have is about the technology itself. I think we tested Zoom the other night, so we're ready to take our open space technology virtual. In fact, I think some of us do that quite frequently. So the question I have for you, Dr. Katie, is Zoom, like the free account, has a 40-minute limit time. So would we be able to use your account or a school account rather than having to pay for
Right.
a
Yeah,
session?
you would use my account. Yeah,
Okay.
you'd use my account, and I'd make you host, and you'd be able to
We'll
manage,
set it up and
yeah, you'll be able to manage
breakout
the
rooms.
breakout rooms and stuff like that, and how you want to do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go with Chad.
I think kind of from a reflection standpoint, we're on the appreciative inquiry team. And so I've been starting to think about that a little bit more. Sitting with Keith was the mentor with us, just kind of really helped to unlock it a little bit. And that whole idea of positive core and trying to think how we're going to apply that here over the course of the next few weeks as nothing's normal. And so I think that's the biggest reflection kind of right now taken away. And then I guess maybe the question I would have, like, as I'm looking at the next few weeks, we've got the method project with our teams, we have the discussion board, and we have the personal OD library. Dr. Katie, is there, if we were going to like tackle the different projects in different order, or like the different components as they fit together, do you have any recommendation on the best ways to put our attention so that they build on each other?
I think the discussion board is the first one, and it's kind of in parallel, but you're working on the discussion board individually, and then as a group, you're designing the agenda for that interview. So I would say that I would just jump into the discussion board. The challenging thing is like, Katie, you mentioned maybe cutting down some of the questions. If you don't address the questions that I have there, you're not going to address some of the key learning outcomes.
Sure.
Like one of the, it's like, which one do I not want you to understand more? Like, how do you compare, 1 to 3 hour events versus 1 to 3 day events? Like, how do you compare them? So I want you to look at examples of them and compare and contrast. So if I don't have you do that, then you won't probably look at that,
Right.
in the future. So you miss out on that. And then if I go to the other, the other question on there in terms of what's your bio, creating your bio. Well, you're going to need to use the bio because when we meet the client, you all are going to kind of introduce yourselves, and it's always good to have a preferred future bio. Like, what's your bio going to be? And you need one anyway for your job.
Yeah.
So you got to have that. So it's like you all need a bio for your work you're going to be doing, and you all already have bios in some places. So it's like that's another one. So it's kind of like I don't know what to take away, because the discussion board really sets the stage for the other assignments. You use the other stuff. So Chad, your question around what do you do? If you're doing the discussion board, you're reviewing things that are causing you to be able to do the other assignments. And so the discussion board gets you to review that. So that's a tough one. So I just wrestle with what to take away, because each piece literally takes something away from you.
Yeah.
And every piece is something that's good is that you're going to use later. So I don't know I'll have to look at it and see. My judgment around the time when I look at the weeks, it's based on what we have. I was looking at that, and I think it's, like the discussion board, that could take a day, like 8 hours, and maybe 10. And then you look at your assignment could take another 10 to 15, and then the last discussion board could be 10. And we've got 6 weeks to go or so. So you kind of look at spreading that out. It seems manageable. It just might seem like a lot right now, but I think we'll have to all look at it, because if there's something that we really can do with that, like I already had planned on having you all do something with that book on groups. It's a nice book on theory of groups, and I decided to hold off on that because of this. So, but the stuff that I'm planning on is kind of, I'll have to look at it, but I think it's kind of, it's like everything's focused. I'll take a look and see if there's anything maybe to streamline it. But I would say doing the discussion board sets the stage for everything else. Joining that community of practice, that is such a cool thing to do. And getting in and interviewing somebody and talking to them, it's like the best thing. And you won't do it again, and like everybody has such a great experience from just getting into a community and saying, I'd like to talk to somebody. It's like every one of those questions are good ones. So anyway, I'll look at it, but that's what I would start with, Chad. So where are we now? So I don't know I hope I answered the question. And who do you want to go next?
Chelsea.
Okay. My reflections from the weekend, I don't know. Everything's been pretty busy. I think that the weekend overall was really good. Helped to clarify a lot for me. I'm trying to think, especially like helped me figure out the difference between that P1 and P2. I was kind of stuck on that on Sunday, and I came home Sunday night, and I think that I have a pretty clear picture of what that is and what you're looking for those. Right now, the only question that I have really is, and it's kind of for everybody, not really only for you, but if we could maybe figure out like some kind of Google Doc where we can share like virtual tools or suggestions. Just because I think that getting this collaborative arts piece to be virtual might be kind of difficult, and it might be helpful to have like a resource for that. But otherwise, there might even be one. I have no idea. So.
Gotcha. So helping you with a document to share things that you all are learning about?
Yeah, like virtual tools or suggestions of like how you're doing something in your group, whether it's on Zoom or there are, a bunch of different websites and tools out there. It's just kind of narrowing down the right one and what's usable and what's not. So I didn't know if there was like anything where we could share ideas for that, or if anybody is even interested in sharing ideas for that. But it was just.
What we could do is we could just, after we check in and answer stuff, we can just see if, what people are using and just brainstorm.
Okay.
We could do it on the next time we meet too. We could do
Okay.
it, and we can do that. And just, you know, and if you're looking for something, you can say, hey, I'm looking for something to do this. Ask me, and maybe I can help you as well. Like if you're trying to find something in particular, like, hey, any ideas on how we might do this or that?
Chelsea, did you want me to set up a channel in Slack for that? Or
Yeah.
would you rather have something more permanent? Okay, I'll do that.
That's fine. Yeah, that would work. And I have to pick someone to go next.
Yeah.
Anne.
Okay, Erica, I don't think I'm on the right Slack line. I don't know how you say that, but I don't think I'm on the right thing because I haven't had anything since February, so I'll have to reach out to you about that. As far as reflection, I was happy Sunday that it felt like everything finally came together, kind of what Chelsea said, even just from the last class and going into this class, like that everything kind of started to make sense to me. As far as a question goes, the joining a community of practice, picking your favorite collaborative change method. Is this just one of the 4 that or just any of them from the library? Okay.
Any of them.
And so what, I guess this might sound trivial, but how do you find these people?
Yeah, so that's the part of the managing our personal network skill set in terms of how do we manage our own communities of practice and our professional network, and how do we kind of extend our library and stuff like that, you know, with live resources and people. So do you have one of the methods that you are particularly fond of that you'd love to learn more about?
Actually, right now, I think collaborative care is interesting, but I mean, I really like the, what's it called? The fuel box. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was a nice, like, easy thing that could be incorporated in a lot of different ways.
So what you do is at the end of each of the chapters are links to resources and communities.
Okay.
You can even probably, for collaborative care, probably talk to the author, you know,
Okay.
and do an interview of the author. A lot of times you all can interview the author of the chapter. Just ask Teo and he'll set you up, connect you with by email. You've got the email in there of the person, you can reach out to them. So that's one thing.
Okay.
Then at the end, it usually gives a link to their community. Some of them are more well-formed than others. Appreciative Inquiry has a whole learning commons, and you can go in and meet all kinds of people. They got a Facebook group, a LinkedIn group. You can find somebody pretty easy on those. But then the smaller ones like Fuelbox, you go in and you find out, and you might be talking to the author directly for Fuelbox and say, I'd love to interview you. Or is there somebody who practices your work that you'd recommend I meet? And you just go to their website and just post a question to them. They may have a discussion group or some kind of online active place like the Learning Commons for Appreciative Inquiry. You should see that at the end of the chapter.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so my recommendation would be, I think for either one of them, reach out to the author, see if they'd be willing to let you interview them. Interview the author.
Okay.
And that would be fun. I think you'd really enjoy that.
Sounds good.
Does that help you with what you need?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it does. Yeah, it does for sure. Thank you.
Okay. So who goes next?
Oh, I don't know if there's anybody else on the, let me see. I thought everybody went.
Did Debbie go?
I don't think Debbie went yet. Yeah.
Oh, I thought Debbie did. I'm sorry, Debbie.
I went first.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I was right after Katie.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's right.
Okay. Wait, so no, I thought Katie went first.
Yeah, I was right after Katie.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I just turned my video off because I was having connection problems, so I'm trying to cut
Gotcha.
down on the band.
Okay.
Before we move on, I got something for Ann. Ann, I was in the wrong Slack channel too. If you want to just get with me right after this, I can show you how to fix it. Or
Okay. It looks like Erica just sent me something too, so thank you.
Yep, no problem.
All right. So I think the only thing that's left unaddressed is Chelsea's question around like how she can get some ideas for their collaborative arts, any technologies or anything like that. Is there any way we can help you, Chelsea, with that right now?
No, I mean, I was just kind of wondering if we could start something, but I think that Slack channel would be good for a way for us to share ideas and ways to do things on there. Do your guys' groups have like a team lead or anyone that we could reach out to just to communicate between us?
Me for World Cafe, Katie.
Okay. What about
I
open
think-
I sent Michael an email, but
cool.
yeah, you can have me for that.
And then appreciative inquiry.
We're meeting at 1 after this, and so I think we'll have a better idea. So we'll reach out to you guys. I was also going to ask, are we responsible for figuring out how to collaborate the technology for next week, or not next week, but our next weekend? Or is this something that we're basically bringing everything to the table that we would do in a normal weekend?
So for the appreciative inquiry group, again,
Yeah,
so for
just
you
in
all,
general.
so for you all, what we're going to do is we're going to do everything like this in Zoom, and we'll be in. And so whenever it's time for someone to go, they're going to facilitate accordingly. What I'll do is I'll be putting you into your teams, and you'll have your team, and you'll have a team space in Canvas, but I'll put you in breakout rooms in your team so you can go meet, okay, at times. When you go to meet with the client, I'll put you in the breakout rooms. I'll put the client into those rooms. I do it manually. I just kind of drop, and I hit go, and you all go and have your meeting with them there in that Zoom room. So it would look just like this, and you all would be engaged in the room with that person. And then you would use the appreciative inquiry guide that you have, and you probably, what I would envision you doing is sharing that with everybody as a link to a Google Doc or a PDF in Google or something like that you just give in there so everybody can have a copy of that.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Ann?
It does. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
I had
Yeah.
one more question about the open space. I know we discussed that we won't really know what the question we want to ask is until till like almost the end of the weekend, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm having a little bit of a hard time trying to figure out what we need to do besides figuring out how to set up Zoom and do the breakout rooms. There's not a whole lot for the facilitators to do in open space technology other than set the stage and let people do their own thing. So, I mean, am I missing something? It feels like it's too easy.
One, open space is easy. Two, you would want to have some slides to help set the stage, give some general instruction on how it's going to work,
Sure.
introduce the concepts, and to create a breakout room. You might create when you go look at open space online and look at some of the ways that it's done online, so you'll do your own kind of research on that. You'll see there's different ways to online create the marketplace. So you need to, so like if I were to ask you now, do you know the steps in doing an open space?
I'm aware of them, but if you're asking me to repeat them off the top of my head, no, I can't do that.
Okay. So that's what you need to be doing. One is know those steps.
Sure.
Know what they look like in person, but also know what they look like online. They're similar, but how do you instantiate each of the steps online? So just know it. That's
Sure.
number
Okay.
one. Okay, that's number one. Two, the process is straightforward, and yet each step requires some facilitation that has some collateral, like a slide. You might create, like when everybody posts ideas, you might create a live synchronous document in Google, and people can go in and type their topic and introduce the topic they want and organize it live, with the group and organizing it, right?
Sure.
And how do you facilitate that? So you just need to have the Google Docs set up. You need to know how to give the link out to everybody so they can go to that document. You need to make sure that that link is, anyone with a link can edit so that they can all edit it. You got to set up all those kinds of things and make sure it's set. Then you got to give the proper, instruction to that phase, to the next phase.
Okay.
So when people go to the breakout sessions, they got to choose. You got to give the instructions. People got to sign up. Then you got to move them into those sections. You got to manage it. You got to have each of those steps understood how to. You got to, be prepared to manage those technologically, as well as what's the procedure, as well as the instruction and the facility, the guidance that you give to people.
Sure.
So while it is easy, there's lots of little details that you're going to want to be
right. Okay.
But it is straightforward.
Right. Okay. That helps. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So how's everybody else doing? You all good?
Yes.
All right. So 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time. We'll check in next week and see how people are doing. You got this week, next week, and so we'll check in next week at the appointed time, and we'll see how everybody's doing, and we'll know more next week, right? We have no idea what next week's going to look like.
Very true.
This is one of those times where I'm like, I have no idea what next week's going to look like. I just know it's going to be different as compared to most next weeks, right? Most next weeks, I kind of have an idea and I could get surprised. It's like, I already know this next week is going to be, it's going to be different. I just don't know what it's going to be. That's a little scary, it's stressful, because I don't know what to expect. So the most important thing is that we have this technology to help us connect and talk. If something urgent happened, I don't know what it would be. Anybody can call a meeting at any time and say, hey, we need to talk. And I'll be like, sure. And we'll just send a note out, come to this. The link is always the same. And say, let's go meet at Steve's Zoom. And boom, off we go. And if it's 3 of you, if it's a group that needs to meet, call me on my cell phone, text me, and just let me know you need something. So if it's one-on-one, if it's with your group, whatever, let's just stay in touch, and let's just keep the, know that you can ask at any time. And it doesn't bother me at all. This is my job. This is what I enjoy doing. And so we'll do it. It would be nice to be learning in a non-stressful environment, but we're having to learn in a very stressful environment, a world that's more stressful. It's kind of like pretending things are normal when they're not. And so let's not pretend that they're normal. So going back to Katie's question about workload, stuff like that, I'll look at that. I'm just trying to manage the outcomes for you all, and that kind of thing. I think right now, if you just take the discussion board and kind of work on both, get your discussion board and kind of answer those questions, I just start them, see how you're doing next week when we meet. I'll just know more next week once we let the dust settle a little bit. But
that's what I've been working on this week. And I mean, I'm hoping everything feels a little better next week, but I guess my biggest concern is that with the first set leading up to residency, so with that first set of work, I was very aware that I could not be down a week. I had to stay very much on top of the assignments every week, nearly every night, to be able to produce the work. So
before the first residency?
Before the first residency.
Yeah, so that was very true.
I'm feeling really stressed about the fact that I'm feeling like I'm losing this week. And I have looked at the material and I've been working on it, but it feels largely lost. So I'm nervous about how that's going to ripple effect into the rest. But like you're saying,
I think you have a little bit of extra time in between.
Okay.
So it's a little, because there's 5 weeks between the residencies.
Okay.
Typically there's 4.
Okay.
And it was interesting when I was going in and looking at the flow, I had it all set up and realized, wait a second, there's 5 weeks. So there was, it was spread out a little bit. So it's kind of like an extra week. So I think you'll be okay. And if I thought otherwise, I would tell you. I'm not trying to reassure you for just the heck of it. I think if you started working on it a little bit this week and got really into it next week, I think you'd still be okay, because it's not due, the first post isn't due until the following week.
Okay.
So I think maybe is it the following week or the week after?
I don't even know. I don't know the dates.
Let me look. I'll just look.
The
I think
discussion board ends on the 9th.
But
The discussion board says submissions on the 6th, but it ends
Right.
on the 9th, so it must be the review part.
you got
the
this
discussion.
week, next week, and the week after. If I let me see here. Let me just double check. Make sure. You got this week, next week, the next week. Yeah, you got this week, next week, the following week. So you got 2 weeks, not including this week. So next week, the following week, and then the next week on Monday when the post is due.
Okay.
So you all have a lot of time. And then wrapping up, I mean, I think that the personal OD library, that's one where, you got time to kind of get a kind of a rough version of that together. You all learned very fast and got how to create some slides and how to do a screencast-o-matic and upload it. So you did pretty well with that. So now that's behind you. You don't have to worry about that. So now it's
true.
And so, but I'll keep my mind on it. I appreciate that. I realize that we are on uncharted territory. So the biggest thing is let's keep talking, keep us apprised of how we're doing. Let's keep checking in. Okay.
I've got just one more thing, Dr. Katie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So for the discussion boards, I had a rough time getting all the responses in that short period of time, that short of a period of time. I think that would be something you could possibly extend by a couple days. That might be helpful. It would have been helpful for me last time. So just something that you could think about.
Yeah, so we could do, I think one more day here's the thing, if we do 2 more days versus 1, I think 1 more day can work. Here's the thing, the minute I go 2 more days, then you go and you're waiting for someone else to post. So you want to be able to kind of post and come back and know that other people are posting a response. So you're getting the interaction. So when you spread it out, then you start posting and wondering, when is everybody else going to post? And then, so I think let's try 1 more day.
Okay, that would have helped me for sure.
Yeah. So I'll set it back 1 more day just to see and let's see if it still gives you room, and also make sure that when you're posting, you're getting people checking regularly and posting back.
Sure.
So I'll do 1 more day and let's try and see how that works.
Okay.
And if it works well, I don't mind trying for the last one. And the last one, I'll make sure it's a little bit of a gentle closing, like reflection discussion board. I'll check the questions. I mean, I can do that. I'll check and see. I think that's pretty, I can focus on that. And that one I can maybe add another day and see how that works.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I just know when we go longer, it does cause a little bit of a problem with people waiting. Like, where's everybody's post? I haven't seen anybody post on mine. I haven't got any reflections. That kind of stuff. And so.
Understood.
Yeah.
Dr. Katie, I have a question. Our next check-in is on a Friday. Is that correct?
Let me check. Could be. Just check real quick. If it is. Yeah, it's on Friday.
Okay.
Do you want it on a different day?
No, I just want to make sure that it just seemed it was weird. Like somewhere on Friday, looked like they all got moved to Thursday, but I didn't know if you forgot this one.
That was
or
only
if it
on
supposed to be Friday.
that was only on Friday because I have a department meeting on Thursday, but we might still have an online department meeting on Thursday. But that's the only reason why.
Okay.
Is we have, but we may not. So, but that's why it's on Friday. All right. So this is just bizarre, isn't it? It just feels bizarre. I feel like I'm kind of in some kind of weird alternate universe. Like I just got like in transported into another world. Like, oh, what happens if the whole world goes online? What do you do? You know, everything. I mean, like everything. My son had band practice today on Zoom.
My daughter's got an online violin lesson tonight now.
Yeah, with his class. So his band is, they're all meeting, you know, every morning at 10 o'clock and band. I mean, it's crazy. So
My son's been doing his art program at Ball State online too. So
yeah,
sculpture class.
yeah.
Not sure how they do that.
Oh man, I tell you, it's but I do think seeing each other, talking, this is really important. I had 50 people, I think, or I can't remember. It was about 50 people, teachers from BGSU and around, all chatting today. And we were talking about like how to transition to online, and everybody was just supporting each other and all kinds of stuff. It was, and the people were talking like, do we need to really see the students? Can we do a discussion board? And I was like, I don't think so. I think you need to have a live session. You need to see them. You need to tell them you're there for them. You need to have them talk to each other. You need to have some live interaction and really help them feel connected to you and them to each other, and not just do a discussion board where they kind of go on and check in. And they're like, oh, I think I'm starting to see that need to do that, is what they were saying. Oh, this makes sense. Yeah, I think I might need to do that now. So little by little, I think we're figuring it out. So anyway, anybody have anything else they want to do as we check out? Anybody want to say anything as we say goodbye for today?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'll see you all next week. And again, if you need me, I'm right here. I can meet with your teams. Just say, hey, can you join our team meeting or whatever? You let me know, text me, call me, you know, whatever. Send me a message. I'm there for you, okay? All right, so I'll
Thank
see you
you.
all.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.